In the summertime, my beachfront town is a lot of fun. On the weekends, we go to the beach or someone's pool during the day and to one of the beach bars at night. One time when I was out with my friends, two guys approached us at the bar. They were being friendly because they overheard our conversation and joined in. They looked like they were maybe 8 years older than us, in their mid-30s. They were on the shorter side but seemed cool enough to hang around. Their names were Alec and James. They ended up bar hopping with us that night. Alec left before James, who stayed late into the night with us. He seemed to like me the most because he would talk to me the most. Eventually, my friends wanted to go home, and so did I. James seemed disappointed, like he wanted to stay out until the bars closed. I told him we'd all chill again soon, and then we left. The following weekend, none of my friends wanted to go out, so when I was trying to find plans, I got a text from James. He asked what I was up to that night, and I said, "No plans. What are you guys doing?" He said we should go to this beach bar. I figured why not? I needed plans anyway, and he and Alex seemed all right last time. He offered to pick me up, so I took him up on that offer. When he pulled up to my house at around 9 or 10, I went for the back seat, expecting Alec to be in the passenger seat. But when I opened the door, he said to sit in the front. It was just James in the car. On the way to the bar, I asked James if Alec or anyone else would be meeting up. He said probably. I wasn't aware it was going to be just him, but whatever. He suggested we go to this dive bar first to pregame a bit before going to the beach bar, which had a dance floor. I said sure. He brought us to a hole-in-the-wall bar. It was really dark in there with a moody red glow. He ordered us a few rounds of drinks. I already had a couple of shots before leaving my house, so after these drinks I was feeling pretty drunk. At one point, I had to go to the bathroom. When I got back, he had 2 more drinks on the counter for us. I didn't even finish my previous one yet. I was shocked he was buying all these drinks for us. I figured it was an older person thing. After drinking this last drink, my memory completely went black. The next thing I remember was waking up in a pitch-black room. I was on the floor. I felt around for my phone in my pockets but couldn't find it. I stood up and held my arms out in front of me until I felt the wall. I started feeling around the wall for a light switch. I found it finally and flicked it on. I found myself inside a small concrete-floored room with a hot water heater and various household cleaning objects like a mop and bucket. There was a closed door in the room. I was beyond confused and absolutely terrified. Where was I? I slowly opened the door, which led to another pitch-black room. A little bit of light from the small room leaked into the other room. I could tell now it was a carpeted basement. I saw a few pieces of furniture in the room. I couldn't find a light switch though, so I had to make my way through the dark basement, banging into things. I was looking for the stairs when I heard movement behind me, like someone getting up off a couch. Then the familiar voice of James called my name. I screamed and turned to face the darkness. I could only see the outline of his body across the room. He said, "Calm down, it's not what you think. You got too drunk at the bar, so I brought you back here." All I could think to say was, "Why did you put me in that room on the floor? Where are my belongings?" My voice felt weak. He came closer to me and said, "I have all your stuff upstairs, just relax and lay down." I told him, "I'm leaving. Just bring me upstairs to my stuff and I'm going home." He said in a slightly more menacing tone, "No, you're not leaving." This was where I threatened him physically, and he responded in a way implying that he had some kind of weapon and he would use it if I tried to leave. His claim was that I was too drunk to drive. I kept saying, "I'm calling an Uber." He then said, "Relax, I'm going to get you a glass of water and you're going to go back to sleep." I didn't know what to do in this unheard of, terrifying situation. I didn't know what he was planning to do to me, but this whole situation was a giant red flag. He walked past me and went up the stairs. When he got to the top, I heard him unlock the basement door with a key, then open it, shut the door, and lock it. I looked for some kind of blunt object I could use as a weapon, but there was literally nothing. I had no choice but to sneak up to the top of the stairs and wait behind the door for him. A long while passed, maybe 5 minutes, before I heard the sound of the door unlocking, and I was instantly ready to attack the second the door opened. I pushed him to the ground and had him in a chokehold. I yelled at him, "Where's my phone and wallet?" seriously choking him. I let up a bit so he could breathe and speak. He said, "On the kitchen table." I asked if he had any weapons on him. He said, "A switchblade in my pocket." I reached for it out of his pocket and switched it open. He then explained the best he could with his throat under my arm that he was only looking out for me. I got up off of him, went to the kitchen, grabbed my belongings from the table and quickly left the house. I called my brother, who's also my roommate, right away, and he picked up, having been woken up from the call. I explained everything and asked him to pick me up. He came right away. The next day, I went to urgent care to get tested, and Rohypnol was found in my urine. It was confirmed that he roofied me. I then spoke to a lawyer and have since filed a civil suit against James, which is still in progress. We're building a case. However, there is no clear-cut proof that James was actually the one to roofie me or that he had any illegal intentions afterward. However, I do believe that I have a good case considering that he left me on the floor and hid my belongings upstairs. I still, to this day, don't know what his end goal was. I don't even like to think about whether he did anything weird to me while I was out. This occurred in 2019 during a vacation my family and I went on in the summer. Every year we would go on a family vacation in a different location for around a week or so, and this year, we decided to go to Daytona Beach in Florida. I'm 17 and an only child, so it was only me and my parents. Well, actually, we did have some extended family coming, but due to booking our hotels late, we weren't able to stay anywhere close to each other. We did have some planned activities together, but for the most part, we were on our own as a family. It was the first day we were there, and we pretty much just napped and lounged around in our hotel room all day due to exhaustion from traveling. Once it got dark, my parents suggested we should all go down to the beach and walk around for a bit before heading to bed. Honestly, that didn't sound all that fun. But back then, I was really into photography, so I figured I'd walk down with them. While they were taking a walk, I could take some cool pictures of the ocean. This went on for maybe 30 minutes. My parents were way down the beach at this point, and being tired, I just figured I'd head back to the room by myself, and so I did. When I entered the room, I contemplated whether or not to lock the door behind me, but decided against it, as I was the only one with a room key. If I did fall asleep before my parents came back, I wouldn't have to get up to open the door for them. I must have fallen asleep seconds after my head hit the pillow, only to be woken up hours later by my mom saying my name in a harsh whisper. The room had 2 beds, my parents' bed closer to the door and mine further in the room. Again, my mom's voice cut through the silence, this time sounding even more concerned than the last. Groggily, I rolled over and asked what she wanted. As my eyes adjusted to the dim moonlight coming in through the room's curtains, I saw her turn to look at me. It was as if she looked shocked to see me in bed. Her eyes got wide and we both glanced back to where she was previously looking, just to see a hooded figure in all black standing over their bed. I was absolutely horrified. I tried screaming, but nothing came out. My mom nudged and whispered to my dad, who at this point was still asleep. All the while, the figure just continued to stand there until finally my dad woke up, and everything else seemed to happen in an instant. Suddenly, the figure bolted outside, followed not far behind by my dad. My mom was now screaming bloody murder. I tried to follow my dad but lost him before even making it to the hotel exit. My mom called the police, and shortly after, my dad returned, having been outrun by the figure. It turns out a couple of other guests at that hotel had experienced something very similar that night. Even one of the workers there had reported seeing a man testing multiple room doors to see if they were locked. What we figured must have happened is that somewhere between me arriving at the room and my parents arriving, this man must have let himself in. I mean, it made sense. I left the room unlocked for my parents and was completely out of it, asleep on my bed. I guess the figure must have hidden somewhere inside, which would explain how he wasn't noticed when my parents got back. We, of course, gave the police our statement, but to this day, we still don't know whatever ended up happening. Needless to say, this experience caused us to be completely on edge for the rest of our vacation. Every summer, my parents go away for a few weeks to our vacation home in Savannah, Georgia. That leaves me home alone with our 2 cats. We live on a canal. My dad has a Boston whaler and 2 jet skis in the yard. Across the canal from us is marshland, and further down the canal is a park. Not a lot of boat traffic passes our yard as a result, and it's very private and secluded. Our house is decently big, but I feel like my dad probably spent more money on the boat than he did on our house, to be honest. It draws a lot of attention. I loved when my parents would be gone for their trip. One night I had the girl I was seeing over to hang out in the backyard. We sat in the hot tub, and when the hot tub cycled off and it went quiet, I heard something from the canal. Sometimes you'd hear fish or birds splashing in the water, but this sounded more rhythmic. I stood up and saw someone kayaking by on the canal. I couldn't see any features, not even what they were wearing. It was a little unusual at this hour of night and this far up the canal, but it is a public canal nonetheless, and it was not a cause for alarm. I did tell the girl I was with how unusual it was, though. Little did I know that that was not the last time I'd be seeing that person. Later that night, when we were in bed upstairs, I had the windows closed because the AC was on. The windows in my room faced the canal and the backyard. I had turned off the lamp next to my bed and was watching The Sopranos with the girl who was sleeping over. Suddenly, a white light was flashing through the window. It was moving around sporadically. Both of our reactions at first were simply, "What the actual hell is that?" She asked if it was a helicopter light, which I dismissed immediately because that was silly. I said, "I think it's a flashlight." I turned off the TV to bring total darkness into the room. Then I got off the bed and stepped just to the side of the window so I could peek out and see where the light was coming from. I saw it was someone waving a flashlight from the canal. In fact, it looked like that person on the kayak again. The girl I was with, who I'll just call Jane from here on out, asked me what it was. I told her it was that guy from the kayak before, waving a flashlight through the window. She asked why he was doing that and how he knew we were in that specific room. I told her it must have been because he saw the light from the TV screen through the window. He already knew someone was in there. Having a girl in the room gave me that basic primal urge to act like a man and not be scared. So I opened the window and yelled out, "What do you want?" A weak-sounding man yelled back, "Please, I need help." I yelled back, "Are you hurt or lost?" He yelled back, "I'm injured, and I can't get out of the kayak." I looked at Jane and asked her opinion of what I should do. She said I should go out there and help him. I called back out to the man, "Do you want me to call 911? He called back, "No, I just need help getting out of this kayak." I called back to the man, "Okay, I'll come out." I closed the window and told Jane to wish me luck. She wasn't wearing many clothes in bed, so I wasn't going to make her get dressed and go out there with me. I threw on a t-shirt and ran downstairs. Then I threw on my slides and opened the back door. I turned on the backyard lights and stepped outside, and that's when I heard a blood-curdling scream from upstairs. It was Jane screaming my name. I looked around the yard in response in a panic, and I saw a man running towards me from the canal. I ran inside, slammed the door shut, and locked it with only 2 seconds to spare because there was a giant bang on the door, followed by the man trying to twist the doorknob open. I grabbed the entire knife holder from the kitchen and brought it upstairs. I locked my bedroom door, and Jane told me she saw that man sneaking up on me the second I turned on the lights outside. There was no old, weak, injured man. He was this big-looking guy. We were paranoid that he was lurking around the property still. I called my dad to tell him what happened, and he told me I should be on the phone with the police right now, not him. So I called 911, and the police came, did a search of the property, made a report, and then rang some of the neighbors' doorbells. None of my neighbors who answered saw anything. The strange part was that the kayak was gone, which led me to believe he ran back to get it and likely ran into the marsh. The fact that we have a decently nice house and an $800,000 boat in the backyard in a secluded, tucked-away spot of the canal probably made us look like an easy target to break into that night. That person may have even somehow known that my parents were away,